arguably should be the main event of one of these nights. Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky versus Bianca Belair. This match has gotten a lot of hate. It has a black woman in it, so of course it's going to get hate. There's a lot of people in the world.
Everybody's jealous that she's the BEST woman in wrestling, possibly ever. Now, I know I call Charlotte the GOAT, but Bianca is the past, present, future, and to infinity and beyond. There is nothing this woman can't do. There is no capability she doesn't have. There's no quality she doesn't possess to be a major star in this industry and any other. She is a better athlete than any other woman on the roster. She's a better storyteller than most of them. She has a stronger character and a better understanding of this industry than most. I love Bianca Belair, and I will die on that hill. Nobody can say anything negative about her around me.
Yeah, Bianca's crazy. I did not have her pinned to win Elimination Chamber, and I've never been so happy to be wrong in my life. When she won, I was thrilled because Bianca had kind of taken... This woman main evented WrestleMania with Sasha Banks. This woman is technically undefeated at WrestleMania. She has the longest, I think she's actually ironically tied with Rob Van Dam for the longest win. I'm trying to look up stats. Give me 2 seconds to look this up. Rob Van Dam is 4-0 at WrestleMania. However, Rob Van Dam also lost on a pre-show of WrestleMania called Sunday Night Heat. Him and Kane lost in a tag team match at WrestleMania, and they still counted that. To this day, as well as 10, 15 years ago when talking about it, Rob Van Dam is touted as being undefeated at WrestleMania on commentary during several different events, despite the fact he lost on the pre-show. So I don't really think the pre-show counts as WrestleMania per se. It is up in the air. However, Bianca is undefeated at WrestleMania in terms of what WWE is going to build.
Ted.
This match is impossible to call for so many reasons.
I couldn't agree more.
This match is the hardest match I think I've ever tried to call in wrestling history because every woman needs this victory. Rhea is coming off some of the strongest years. Rhea has been involved, I think, in the last 5 WrestleManias in the main event title scene. It might not be 5, it might be 4 or something like that, but to have a woman that involved in the main event scene has made her a megastar. We talked about the fact you win that title, it takes 4 or 5 years to reach that level. Rhea is at that level now. She is probably the biggest female name in the history of wrestling. Like, you have the Charlotte Flairs and you have the things like that, but no one has had this continued streak of dominance for so long. Charlotte would come in, win, and then spend 6 months out. Rhea hasn't really done that outside of one injury. She's just been dominating and dominating and dominating. You look at this, Io Sky had a match last year at WrestleMania against Bayley. And she lost.
Forgotten about in seconds.
Yeah, she lost, and now she's back once again defending the title at WrestleMania. It is pretty crazy, the fact that Io is defending world titles in back-to-back WrestleManias. Hats off to her for that because she is building up that legacy. However, she is overlooked here because you have the unstoppable force of Bianca Belair, the one who is undefeated at WrestleMania. The one who comes in and just wins, who has been on the back burner for the last few years of WWE. The last 2 or 3 WrestleManias, she hasn't been doing much. She's been focusing on tag matches or multi-person appearances, things like that. She hasn't been a primary focus because people kind of gotten... As she kind of faded, Rhea Ripley kind of took her spot as this dominating force in the women's division. And Bianca was still there, but she was very much a background contender, and now she is back in that main event scene, and her versus Rhea is insane. But then you throw in the wild card of Io Sky, and the fact she has been overlooked this entire time. almost makes her need this victory. The fact that Rhea and Bianca, they are Shawn Michaels and Triple H here, and Io is the Benoit of the one who is overlooked, who needs this victory to establish herself. But if you do that, you now throw away Bianca Belair's streak of WrestleMania in a triple threat match. And Rhea, who has had this dominating force, had a very embarrassing upset loss a month ago to Io. She should have just steamrolled through Io. That is what she assumed was going to happen. That's what everybody assumed was going to happen. And then she lost in an embarrassing fashion. As that top star, she needs this victory back to kind of reclaim that throne and be like, no, this was a fluke. So if she loses again to Io, that kind of reiterates the fact that maybe Rhea is not all she's cracked up to be. So you have like this mini streak versus Rhea Ripley needing to reassert her dominance versus Io, who cannot be overlooked. What do you do, Destiny, if you're booking this? What's going on?
I can't even tell you. Some things that are coming up in my mind right now are Io not being involved in the pinfall whatsoever. Like, for example, Bianca pins Rhea to become the new champion. Then that gives Io such a gripe to go after Bianca and be like, I never lost my title. Give it back. I deserve it. You know, and that can lead to a great bout between those guys. Or, you know, something I was thinking is, you know, if Rhea does lose, similar to what I talked about with Drew, maybe she has a slow descent into madness and she goes crazy. She loses her mind. She snaps on anybody and everybody in her path. She breaks some arms. She breaks some backs. She cracks some skulls. I love the potential of that. I also love the idea of rewinding back to the moment that you talked about where Io did pull out that upset victory over Rhea Ripley, and like you said, Rhea just expected to steamroll her, but that's not what happened, and Io was successful. What if that happens again, and somehow, you know, because Rhea blames Bianca for her losing the title. There's no accountability. She full on blames Bianca. But what if we revisit that in this triple threat where, for some reason or another, Bianca is the reason that Rhea gets pinned and Io retains? What if we revisit that and then we have this gorgeous one-on-one feud moving forward between the two biggest women's stars in this industry in Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair? Because there's so much to be told within that story. If Io retains, she doesn't have to defend against either one of them ever again as long as she holds the title. But then those two can go forward and butt heads through and past SummerSlam for all I care, because they are that good. That's kind of how I'm seeing this being played out. I see it being a little bit of a nod to the initial title match that set this all off. And I see Io Sky retaining. However, I also see Bianca taking it just to keep that streak alive and to keep the hope alive of having an undefeated streak at WrestleMania, because I miss it. I miss the Undertaker streak.
I will say the Undertaker streak is a phenomenon in itself because it was the first of its kind. So nobody paid attention to the streak until it hit like 9 or 10 or 11. And then they were like, oh shit, this is a thing. Now you're literally looking at it and she's won 3 matches and people are like, she's the next Undertaker. This is crazy. Like, the potential here is insane. And that's the downfall of, if they ever tried to do another streak, everybody's going to try to see it coming from a million miles away, which is, in my opinion, why they can never be another streak in WrestleMania history, which ultimately is why I think Rhea Ripley pins and defeats Bianca Belair in this match. This is Ashley. I'm shooting for a Yahtzee here, and by the end of the show, you're going to be like, "What the fuck did you just say to me?" And it's going to be crazy.
The reason being that Io Sky has been, like you said, overlooked since she won the title. Everybody's looking past her. Everybody's looking for her to lose, and that just feeds right into exactly what everybody's been saying and everybody's been feeling. She's being overlooked once again, and she's not even involved in the finish? Come on.
I think that's fair, but I think I have a reason. There's a method to my madness here. And I think Bianca's post-WrestleMania is going to be involved in terms of Bianca, Naomi, or Bianca and Jade. I think they're going to retie Bianca into that fold after Mania, and I think that's where her focus is going to be. And as I said with Jade, I don't want her in the title picture until WrestleMania next year. And so I don't want Bianca to leave as the champion. I think Io...
That is so fair.
I think Io loses her title here without being involved in the finish, and that is why Io Rhea is your feud moving forwards past Mania in a singles feud where Io chases Rhea for her championship. Which I have more to say, but I will hold on to that for now.
I have to say, I definitely am taking back a couple of my words because Bianca does need to be reinserted into the Jade Naomi story.
And I think putting the exclamation on the fact that the streak is over for Bianca, because if you try to build this undefeated streak, if Bianca wins here, the streak becomes 4-0 and it really solidifies. And it gets to the point where almost every time Bianca is in a WrestleMania match, it's essentially a spoiler at that point. Because why build her up to 4-0, 5-0, 6-0 if you're not going to reach Undertaker levels of 10-0, 12-0? So it essentially becomes a spoiler, and until she gets towards the end of her career, she's not going to lose. And so you need to kind of nip that in the bud now in order to keep Bianca interesting moving forward at WrestleMania. It is always, this is why Ric Flair is one of the greatest of all times, is because he could lose on any night. Ric Flair could be facing a Joe Blow nobody, and he could still lose the match because he would sometimes. And that's what always made Ric Flair interesting, is you never knew when his arrogance was going to cost him. And I think the worst thing they could do for Bianca is have her win this match and continue that streak for that exact reason.
I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
So do you have anything else to add?
No. Now, you keep saying you have more to talk about, but you're going to hold your tongue. Are you saving that for the Q&A, or are you saving that for next episode?
Oh, no, I'll save that for the Q&A.
Okie dokie.